So the next panel refers to the evolution of fan experience, and I'm extremely selfishly very curious to understand how certain experiences can be made fuller. And there are certain brands that I don't mind being sold from, because I respect them so much that I know they will make the right choices from a partnerships perspective and from an ecosystems perspective, which is something that you were referring to ecosystem in your in a couple of earlier points that you have made that I wanted to double click on. And so to first of all, to keep the conversation off, I think it would make sense. I don't know if you want to reintroduce yourself or just give you the opportunity to introduce yourself right now.
Sure.
Go ahead, Lou.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Lou Frangella. I'm the global head of partnerships for Kraken. Kraken's a crypto exchange, been around for 13 years. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit. We just started doing marketing probably 2 years ago. So it's been very new, and we've had some great fortune working with some great partners to start things off. Excited to be here today. Thanks for kind of listening.
I think most of you saw me earlier this morning, which I also mentioned Kraken at the same time. But I'm Divya, VP Fan Engagement for FanCapital and Williams Racing. Really happy to be sitting alongside Lou here. We work together on a daily basis, essentially. We're not tired of each other yet, so I think it's been positive.
Excellent. There is one first question that I wanted to ask you is, you're an interesting brand in the sense that you do something extremely specific that responds, that resonates with people with very specific interests and very specific personalities as well. And when I think of fan experiences, I thought the choice that you made from a marketing perspective was mind-bending in the most positive possible way. How did you get to that decision of investing in fan experiences instead of, just in the back of the usual discourse and,
So, crypto, I mean, you guys have all seen crypto sponsorships before. I would be shocked if you haven't, and I think what you probably would notice is a lot of crypto companies have just come out of the gate with the focus being, we want to grow signups, we want to grow the brand. I've worked in crypto for, this is probably my third year now, maybe fourth, work in crypto at MLB as well. And as fans of sports and as fans of entertainment and other properties, I think what fans are looking for is to be able to get closer to what they love. And I think companies in the industry have not recognized that. And unfortunately, they've come out with expensive NFTs, sign up or trading offers, and I think we have the obligation as a partner of Williams, who their goals are growing the fan base and moving up the grid, which we can't really help with that, but we can help grow the fan base and educate people not just on Williams for our customer base, but also educate them in a way that actually brings them closer to what they love as a fan. So I think that's always the mindset, the approach with any partnership that we do is let's put the fans first. Let's think about let's be a fan and think about what would a fan enjoy, what would bring them closer to the team that they love, to the drivers that they love. And I think what we sat down initially and uniquely identified was that there was multiple crossover areas of what's important to us, but also the fact that Williams is just really excellent at fan engagement generally. And I think a lot of people also, another thing that we always keep in mind is a lot of people think about what is the problem that we can solve, especially when it comes to crypto, and I think that's where a lot of it went wrong also. And for us,
it ends up being a little bit too technical.
You just overthink it. Like it's not resonating anywhere. It's already a very complex space, right? A lot of people don't want to sit down and they don't want to hear you talk about Bitcoin right now, which I'm sure would bore you to death. But for a fan, you definitely don't want to hear that, especially if you're going to a fan zone to see the drivers, to experience what it's like to be an F1 fan. And I think what we think about instead of what problem can we solve is how can we make things better that are working well, and use our technology to do that.
I see, okay. One thing that I wanted to ask you is the keyword evolution there. You sit in a privileged position in the sense that you can see what works extremely well, what what are the interesting things that are evolving in the market. And I would be curious to see what are these things that you would point my attention and our attention towards.
Yeah, I think where we were at 3-4 years ago within this industry in general is I don't think you were seeing a lot of what I'm going to call, I'm going to use a word, but I'll explain it, integrated partnerships. And by that, I truly mean my fan is your fan. And we have, as I spoke about earlier, a Venn diagram. We have Williams Racing fans, we have Kraken, Web3, crypto, and in the middle, it's how do you make that integration larger. And I can sit here all day and I have my Williams team kit in my bag because I wear the 2 hats. But essentially it's logo soup, right? Like, we all know this. There's 6 logos. Hopefully there'll be 11 or 15 at some point on our car, on our shirt, on everything we have. And I would probably argue that slowly, as we've gone by, more of those partners play an active space instead of just saying, I want my name on the car and that's it. And that's where, to me, the evolution is going of partners really, and I say this because even when I was at my former time at the NFL or NBA, the one thing I would always ask when I was executing partnership deals was, do they only give a crap about impressions, or like, are they actually looking at the measurable ROI at the end of it? And for the longest time, the only response I got was, just throw money at the problem, put it out on paid media, we'll get 5 million impressions, and then like the partnership deal is satisfied. For me, I was like, easy, great. I'm in the NFL, I've got millions of dollars to work with. $5,000 for me is nothing in the bucket. And now it's to the point where the partnerships that actually provide value aren't doing that. They are adding another layer to it, where then they're coming back and saying, hey, the trading frequency on my platform has increased, and that's what I'm paying you to help us do. Or people are actually actively raising their hand and becoming excited about things that we are giving them tangibly or digitally, and that's what we would like to do. So I think as we continue to see an evolution of partnerships, you're going to see less and less individuals coming in and saying, I'm fine with the logo on the car, I'm fine with the logo on the team kit. You're going to see more of, yeah, there's the logo, but how can I be involved in digital platforms? How can people across the globe interact with my brand? How can we create a unique experience for our fans that is uniquely only us and that somebody else cannot replicate because it is our secret sauce of why we are good partners together?
That's intriguing. It would be interesting to observe you guys work together, because I think it's being part of the same team, basically. Okay, in terms of experiences, my flawed digital mind always ends up going towards the digital experience direction somehow, because it's kind of flawless, more predictable. It's got data behind it. It's got that nature. However, I also know that it's very limited towards the traffic that you can generate, and it's sometimes more based on predefined intents rather than more instinctive, authentic connection with the brand. What are you guys? How do you see the offline? How do you manage more the relationship between offline and online work that you're doing from an experience perspective?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great question for you, but I'll take a minute of it. We're talking about F1 specifically, right, and our relationship with Williams. F1 is a very expensive sport, and I don't know, most of you, if you're going to the race, you probably got tickets from somebody. Maybe you bought them, but you're probably going because your company's sending you or you're entertaining a client. For regular people that are F1 fans, it is thousands of dollars to go travel. If you're going to travel to another country, if you're going to get a hotel, if you're going to even just go for 3 days, buy food, buy beverages. So I think what Williams has figured out brilliantly is fans want to have access to the sport, and you all love Drive to Survive. What they've done with Williams Fan Zones is create this experience that actually brings you into the world of F1 for free. Like, it's free to attend, and it's been, I think you guys over the last 2 years have had over 200,000 attendees for these.
Yeah.
Do them in like 8 to 9 different countries every year. We're a presenting sponsor of about, I want to say, 6 of them this year. We just announced today that we're renewing the partnership, and we're going to do a minimum 5 next year, which is great because we've seen a lot of success. And recognizing that fans want to be closer to the sport that they love, I think is something that a lot of teams, especially in F1, haven't figured out yet. I think everyone's focused on the monetization of it, but they're not thinking about like the lifetime value of the fan and creating unforgettable experiences for that. They have, yesterday I was there, 2 of the drivers showed up, and the crowd, I think there was probably like, I don't even know, there was hundreds of people chanting in there for the drivers. Like, you don't get to see a driver up close, so to create something for a fan that they'll never get to experience elsewhere and do it for free, I think is an important way to connect with them. And I think that's, probably one of the more important elements that a lot of brands miss because they focus on just the
It
digital.
makes it unforgettable.
Yeah.
It makes it unforgettable. Do you want to expand on that a little?
Yeah, I think more on like the tactical side, if we're connecting offline to online, a lot of the technology, and I mean Luke and I would agree or disagree, but I think that one of the reasons that these partnerships and the fan zones work really well is because we have technology littered throughout the fan zone to make the fan experience better, one, but then also to tangibly provide a digital value past the fan zone and a touch point. So everyone who walks into the fan zone downloads the Williams app, they register, and then they have different scans across the fan zone at every activation. So we know who's interacting with which partners, we know how long they're spending in the fan zone, we know which ones, to what percentage of the experience they get through. And those are really tangible items for us because we also know that if someone comes to a fan zone, they are, and I was quoting stats in here earlier, but if somebody comes to a fan zone, they are 90% more likely to stay with us for another year and a half, at least. So you've created that touch point then that we can track over a longer period of time. And then in the matter of having a partner like Kraken representing, we do have data sharing agreements in place. Like, let's be blunt about it. We all know that data is a lot of the new currency that's out there now. And we do it in a very trustful fashion. The fan always knows what they're opting into, GDPR compliance, everything of that nature. But we do then say, hey, Kraken, here's a list of individuals that came and interacted at your booth. You can now go market to them, and you can encourage them to go and use the platform that you created. Same thing with any of our other partners there. So for us, it's harnessing that value and that experience they have, but then continuing the extended touch point. Because a lot of people have 2 seconds of a touch point and then you never hear from them again.
It seems like there is a very purposeful user journey that then gives you the data that you need to make the decision.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and I think even taking that one step further, what we identified, the fan zones we knew were an area where fans really enjoy this, and not even just Williams fans. If you walk in, you'll see every single team on the grid, people wearing their shirt, but walking out saying this was the best fan experience I've ever had. So in having these discussions with Williams, for us, we're a crypto company, so, do people, again, want to sit there and listen to a 10-minute video, 20-minute video about crypto, Bitcoin? No, they want to enhance their experience. So in understanding that was what the priority was, we developed a free digital collectibles program, which, again, a lot of teams in the past or partnerships have done paid NFT collections where they're focused on the revenue. I think when you do that, you're over-promising in value and under-delivering. And for us, it's about how do we over-deliver, under-promise, but do something that helps educate fans along the way. So you're not just going to a fan zone and go and experience everything, but we have gated opportunities in the fan zone that are also free, that when you claim a grid pass, you're able to experience. There's other offline or online, but outside of the fan zone experiences, like artist collaborations that we've done with, well-known Web3 artists. We actually worked with Goel, another Williams partner, to create a collectible of a fan livery that I think it was 100,000, 200,000 fans voted on last year.
250,000 votes last year.
250,000. And we do all this for free. So I think for us, we're creating an additional unique engagement point with the fans, but identifying that they love fan zones, they love Williams experiences. Let's bring them more, but let's do that. Let's bring them along the journey of our mission and helping educate them about crypto and about collectibles and DeFi in a way that is exciting for them and not boring.
It makes me think of authenticity in the sense that one of the things that I wanted to ask you from your previous talk, when you were talking about Kraken, you were talking about the inclusivity of the ecosystem, and I want to mix it with the conversation that we were having before about authenticity. It sounds like what is growing beyond the fan experience that you guys initially engineered, there is a lot more that's happening. And so it's almost like there needs to be at some point a leap of faith that needs to happen for those things to manifest. I guess that's probably how it happened with you guys. Did you guys start gradually into this investment?
When you say that, do you mean like in terms of how we targeted fans? Yeah,
Correct.
I mean, we started this partnership, I want to say it was the Australian Grand Prix last year. So if you go back in time and think about the sentiment around crypto, companies collapsing, banks going under, probably not the best time to do it, but I think we felt it was the most opportune time for us to have a partner that we knew was very aligned with our mission, that had a lot of shared values as us, that if we did it properly, we'd be able to execute this really well and create something special. What was important for us was fans at the time, we're not coming out the gate asking for signups, right? Our Grid Pass program actually launched a year ago. I want to say maybe it was a year ago today. I know it was in Austin. So now, we went from 0 last year to now over 100,000 Grid Pass holders. But before that, we had a lot of work to do. We wanted to make sure that fans knew where we stood in terms of being a fan of the sport, being a fan of the team, supporting Williams in good times and bad. I mean, that's one of the best things about Williams too, is the transparency that the whole team has, but not just the team, their leader, James Vowles. So we've had a lot of opportunities to engage fans in a way that I think were really unique and just showed that we were here for the right reasons before we had the success in actually helping onboard people into crypto.
And I think that element that you were adding, which is more the customer lifetime value and the patience that come with waiting for the right investment that manifests at the right time, it's fundamentally important. From your perspective, where do you see the relation? What are the things in the fan experience world that perhaps you guys have tried, and what have you learned from things that you would do differently? What I'm trying to get to, I'm always interested in what happened and why we went a different direction.
I think there was a lot of testing that was done originally with the Grid Pass. For instance, something as small as what we named it, and also something as small as what we called it. I remember having a 45-minute conversation. I had just been hired, and we were trying to figure out what to call this thing. And in all the press releases and all the content, it was NFT, NFT, NFT. And all of us sat back and went, maybe that's not the best word to use, right? Because, to Lou's point prior, people had just been burned by it. There was a lot of bad sentiment around the word. And so it was, okay, how do we make this something, and if we're offering this for free, how do we make this something that's approachable? And so we went with collectible. And that has actually taken, surprisingly enough, a lot of that negativity and commentary away from it. Also offering it free has been a great move, because people don't feel like they need to jump all the way into the landscape. They feel like this is an approachable way to dip their toe in the water. And so we've never gone back to calling it an NFT. We've always remained and stayed with the fact that we call it a collectible. But it's just something so small that you have to think about and back up on and say, maybe the sports fans are going to be averse to the word NFT, or the words NFT, so now I need to alter how I think about it. And ever since then, the other NFTs we've dropped have all been collectibles. They've been a collection. The Cosmos collection we just dropped this week, which is what Lou was referring to about an artist. And we realized that these unique pieces too, you can do things that are generic all day, but we provided a uniqueness to a fan that only they can get. They can brag to their friends and say, I got this piece of artwork that nobody else in the world has, right? And it's almost like they know that they have an NFT, but it's not pushing them into the world and giving them a bad taste in their mouth afterwards, because Kraken's also treating them as if they are a fan and a valuable person on their platform.
So it's almost moving the segment from, with all due respect, crypto fanatic or geek, let's say, to just fans of a sport, which is democratizing those feelings a little bit more.
It's making it a bit more approachable. Like when Lou and I were talking about this panel, I think a word that he and I brought up a lot of times was we are trying to make both verticals more approachable to the other one.
as you've heard in the panel before, I'm actually toying with the idea of investing into in customer marketing being one of them. And so it would be great to have a conversation with you as well, and then you two fight, so that I don't have to worry about it. What are the things that you would warn me in terms of these are the 2 or 3 things that I would learn if I could turn back time not things necessarily that I would do differently. It's more what are learning points that you wish you knew in advance.
I don't know. I think we do a really good job of communicating, and we did a lot of work in the beginning of understanding each other's customer base and fan base. So I think every step that we make is always an improvement. So I don't know if there's anything that I would change in what we did, because I think it's ultimately been successful what we're doing with the partnership. I honestly don't say
That's fantastic. It means that there is a framework in place that you are providing that is helping someone like me ease into something that, to me, again, is quite mind-bending because I have not done this specific type of activations. And so...
I think one of the things that I would say, and this is not saying that we haven't done it well, because I really think we have, but one of the pieces of advice that I give anybody coming in and looking and assessing out the space is the due diligence I talked about earlier, which we mentioned, which is we knew there was a Venn diagram somewhere, right? Unlike prior partners where I referenced a partner that their main demographic was 40-year-old divorced women. Like, that's probably not the best partner for a Formula One team. Talk about that. But having this Venn diagram and doing the due diligence of there are people that can cross-pollinate and the interest level and the passion level is similar across both verticals, I think that really helped us. The other thing that I would say about some of these evolution into more integrated partnerships is that the ability to be nimble and be innovative and ask why not instead of why would you do something, I think that's gotten us to where we are. Like, someone goes, well, this is absurd, and then someone, even Lou, would be like, well, why can't we do that? Like, what's stopping us from doing something like that?
Posture, attitude.
Yeah. And I think
thinking the art of the possible rather than the impossible.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, especially in Formula One, have been so ingrained in this is the way that things have been done for so long that someone coming out to break the mold, you're going to get criticized for a little bit, but then it's going to turn around into, oh, this is such a brand new thing that everyone loves, and now you're attracting a whole new base of partners that is not necessarily inherently legacy F1.
Makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. So if I could wrap up, what are the things that I have learned from the conversation that we had so far is the one that sticks closer to my heart is make sure that when we think about fan experiences, we have a clear journey in mind that is aligned to our ability to monitor those results. Use it as a, I was about to use the word tool, but I'm not sure it does it justice. Use it as a way to really connect authentically, not only with the team that you decide to sponsor, but the ecosystem that revolves around it, and just take a leap of faith and play with it, go with it, explore the art of the possible. I would personally put it into the investment box that's more related to customer lifetime value rather than simply clicks, because I can always create campaigns that are aligned to an extent to that type of activation. And I have to be honest with you, I'm more pumped than it was when this event started. I'm totally confident I can actually run to it, but I'm going to push on the accelerator. We're actually a couple of minutes overdue, but over. Is there any questions from the audience, guys? It doesn't look like it, so we're actually on time. Well, just over, 1 minute over. So, well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.